It's great to see everybody. We are in the spring recruiting period. It's had many conversations with coaches and colleagues across the country of how different everything is and how warp speed recruiting can be. But we've been very busy having a number of people come to campus. We're in the middle of a dead period right now, but we have some more visitors coming in this weekend. But we're excited about where we're headed, and we're trying to build something here. And I know you have information on some of the guys that have signed with us this week. These guys are a big part of it. We can't wait to get them here on campus and get to work with their teammates and our future recruits. We've got a lot of work still ahead of us.
We're talking about the impact of the portals having on college basketball.
It's such a big part of it all, Chris. I'm someone that transferred schools myself, spent 2 years at a school and then went to another. And so transferring is not a bad thing. It's just the rules, the way they are now, it just creates a lot of opportunity to make changes. And then, of course, we could talk for hours on just the impact and how that all works and the number of times people can transfer. But we, of course, are looking for young men that fit the University of Tulsa and are looking for an opportunity to play as well as get a world-class education. And so that's where we're focused, and I know that's the focus of so many other schools too.
As someone who's gone through that process before, I know it's a little bit different era, but how do you connect? Do you feel like you have a connection with guys who are looking for, a second school, maybe for whatever reason the first one didn't work out?
I can just share my experience, and of course it was what was a few years ago, but it was a very different situation. I was a Division III player, made an academic change. It's really a funny story when I went into Coach Ryan's office, Bo Ryan, who later became the coach at Wisconsin. But it's really about trying to find opportunity and maybe fit when there's a number of different factors. But in all recruiting, I try to connect with guys and whatever their situation might be and however I can help them. Talked to a young man the other day that looking for something different and just said, hey, if I can help you in any way, let me know. This is about them and about them trying to find something that works.
How many of these guys, obviously several of them you had a connection with previously. Was that the case with all four of these? 3
of the 4 we did. Of course, Kobe Williams and Keaston Willis coached at Louisiana Tech. Kobe for 3 years, recruited him out of high school. Keaston came to us on a transfer from Incarnate Word and then spent 1 year with him. Chauncey Gibson, he visited us at Louisiana Tech early in the process. We really liked him and went towards the end of his recruiting, and then it had a very good summer season. And then Isaiah Barnes was somebody that we just identified early, and it was through a couple contacts back in Chicago that just really looked at his video and where he's been in college and saw a fit. And we were aggressive early on and got him and his parents down to campus and made a great connection with them.
Not to go too far back in time, but were you surprised by the amount of turnover that you've had with this roster from last season now going into this season?
No, not really entirely surprised. I mean, I think there's so many things from conversation to just having an idea and understanding what guys might be looking for. So I wouldn't say surprised. I talked to a friend of mine that was at an established program, and he's got 5 scholarships left just like we do. This is a part of college basketball now, and not entirely surprised, no.
Is this a instance now of you kind of, I don't want to say you're bringing in your own guys. You are, obviously, but the guys you were coaching last year, although you didn't recruit them, they are your guys, right? That's your team. So that's kind of, but now these are truly your guys since you're bringing them in yourself. Do you feel a little bit more, I'm trying to think of the right word, not buy-in or not attachment because you're attached to all your players, but these are your guys that you're bringing in and trying to kind of rebuild and start a new culture here. Do you feel a little bit more of an attachment maybe to them now that you're doing that?
No, I wouldn't say that, TJ. I'd say, I look at a year ago, I chose our team. They didn't choose me. They weren't on the search committee when I came here to interview. And very much view last year's team as our guys. We're trying to do everything we can help, whether it's a guy that's graduating and moving on to the professional world or a young man that's trying to find another opportunity. I will be here and wherever for those guys as long as they want me to. Call me 20 years from now, whatever that is. So I don't view it that way at all. Had a great connection with them, spent a lot of time with them, and will continue to, be there to help. We just have an opportunity now to shape the roster in a certain way, and we've got a lot of opportunity. We still have a number of holes to fill, and the entire staff is working diligently to do that.
Every player is different. Was there maybe a commonality that you were looking for with the guys, these new guys that you've been bringing in?
A number of different things. First, and from an intangible standpoint, and I know you've all heard me say this before, is, we really believe in our three-part philosophy of attitude, commitment, and class. We looking for high-energy guys that play with energy, looking for committed guys that love the process of getting better and put the team first, and then third, do things in a first-class manner to represent our university and our city in a great way. From a basketball standpoint, we are looking for a level of athleticism and skill and size. And if you have all three of those things, you're obviously a great player and probably not in college very long. But we want to look at if a guy is not really big, well, he's very athletic. And that, I can say, is Kobe Williams. Kobe Williams is as dynamic of an athlete as we will see, from speed, strength, jumping ability, all those types of things. And he's 5'11", 6 feet. Where, Chauncey Gibson, Isaiah Barnes, those guys are good athletes. Isaiah can really spring, but they're big guards. Isaiah's close to 6'7", Chauncey's in that 6'5", 6'6" range. And then, Keaston Willis is 6'2", but he can really shoot. He's made 295 threes in his career. He can dunk the ball, of course, not as fast as Kobe Williams, but his skill level is very high. So intangibles that we always look for, but then size, athleticism, skill, finding a combination of those things.
You mentioned a couple times still plenty of work to do. What's on the forefront of that?
We've got to address some needs in the front court still. We've had some visit. We have some other visits coming up. We've got a number of scholarships there that we need to fill, from centers, power forwards, and so forth. We're excited about the guys we signed in the fall, Jared Hall, Carlos Williams, and Matt Reed. Just need to be able to have some depth there also. And then we've got another guard spot we need to fill. We have someone we're excited about visiting here shortly, and just continue to find those guys that can pass, dribble, and shoot, that could be playmakers not only for themselves but for other people.
And with the portal being such a huge part of recruiting now, I mean, you got two guys from power conferences and then two guys from one bid. How do you differentiate maybe scouting when you see some guys are playing what would be considered tougher opponents and maybe not for the other guys?
So we've put down, we've created our own analytical model. There's a number of different websites out there, from Synergy and the video that comes from it and grades guys, to evanmia.com and kenpom.com and bartorvik.com, like just different things that we can model from. But then we also will look at strength of schedule, how guys are producing, the type of programs they're coming from, and then winning. And we're looking to have that as be a part of their background in some level. So we take a look at all of it, and something that's exciting for, Isaiah Barnes and Chauncey Gibson both came from very good programs. Both were behind really good players, and we see and feel like they get this type of opportunity to play because we've got a lot of opportunity. They could really thrive.
With your roster that you have right now, I'm kind of working on a story outside of this press conference. What are those practices like? Because, you don't have a full team out on the court. What's a training like? Kind of break it down for me.
Well, I know in our recruiting pitch here at the University of Tulsa, we have a 11-to-1 student-faculty ratio. It's like the reverse in our practices right now. So our guys that are in there right now are getting a ton of attention, and we've got about another week that we're allowed to work with them, and we're just really trying to figure out and find different ways to get them better. And that's an exciting part of this time of year, is working on those individual skills and helping each guy just get better and better.
Is it like A lot of one-on-ones. I mean, is it harder practices because, you know, there's no breaks in between because like another guy's making a lay-in or whatever? I mean, I guess kind of give me a little bit of what a day practice would be.
Yeah, so we right now we get 8 hours of work with our guys, 4 in the weight room, 4 out in the court, and we do 4 1-hour individual work sessions. And we'll have 2 guys out there, and there's a lot of reps. There's no break, and we'll do little competitions, but lots of shooting. We're working on a lot of high-speed dribbling, stopping, passing, precise passing, turning into more shooting. But it's really all offensive skills right now, and just trying to work on the things that ailed us last year. We've got to get better at getting downhill and finishing. We've got to be better at shooting.
And how quicker will those 2 guys be because of these individual workouts that they're getting that's unlike any other right now?
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, we do a lot of that anyway. When we have a full team in this time of year or in the summertime, we'll break it out. We may have a full team workout, and then we'll have 2, 3, or 4-man groups. Sometimes we'll have 4 coaches out on the floor with 1 guy at a basket and spend time just on their individual games. So we have about 7 months until we play a game again. And so we have so much opportunity for guys to get better. So much can happen in 7 months.
Just so I know, correct, you've added 4 for this cycle. You had 3 from November, right? And then how many more do you have to fill?
5.
5. So in total, that's 12 guys.
Mhm.
You're bringing in 2 that have been with you previously, and you had 2. Is there 2 here right now, currently on roster? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So the reason I'm asking that, sorry, I was long-winded, but it's a lot of different moving parts. And normally we ask these questions right when the season starts or in the off season of how are these guys gelling, right? You know, bringing in a bunch of guys from different backgrounds, different teams, haven't been around you. You have 2 guys coming in from La Tech that have been around you. And so how do you feel like that will help you guys maybe be a little bit ahead of the curve in trying to get all these guys to mesh because these 2 have been around you before, know what you expect, they can kind of help the guys who have never been around you before? Because I'd imagine that's got to be really hard bringing in a bunch of new faces and trying to get them all to click really fast, especially in the portal era. So do you view that maybe as an advantage, having guys that have been around you before?
That's exactly our plan, TJ. And so the way that we're looking to construct this roster is, of course, we have 2 guys that have been with our staff before, good players, and they absolutely know what I expect. And so we're not only looking for production, we're looking for a leadership type role. There's that void also. So many times you look at, well, who's going to score, who's going to rebound, who's going to get assists, but there's a leadership void. And so we need that, and they will absolutely have that type of background because so many things are similar. But then we're also looking to fill the roster, and you've noticed so far with some youth. Like, we're going to have a number of younger guys in this program. Chauncey Gibson will still be considered a freshman. Isaiah Barnes will be considered a sophomore. And then, of course, we signed 2 true freshmen in Jared Hall and Matt Reed. So there's going to be a lot of youth. Kobe Williams and Keyston Willis will only be here for 1 year. This is it for them. They've got 1 year left. And so we're looking for them to help us establish our program and then have a great year next year for them personally, but also, of course, most importantly, collectively as a group, and then be able to leave a legacy here at the University of Tulsa of passing that baton on to some of our younger players.
Coach, the way basketball is today, you know, you have kids play AAU, then they go play high school, and maybe the next summer it's another AAU team, maybe a different coach, and then back to high school. I mean, and then the portal situation and transfer. Are kids today more adaptable toward new systems? I mean, are they able to kind of bridge that a little better maybe than when you were transferring?
Yeah, I think so. I think you can look at society in general, right? I mean, I know my dad worked at the same company for 35 years, and people are more apt to move from job to job within a city or to another city. I think people in general may have a little bit more adaptability that way. But I think players, they play so much. There's a positionless style now that a lot of people play. I know we like to. And But still, to the core, we're going to have to spend a lot of time this summer getting to know each other. That's going to happen. Now, we have some guys that know each other a little bit, but we're going to have to spend a lot of time building those bonds so that when the temperature rises and things get tough, that we don't fall apart. And that's going to take some time. And we're going to spend a lot of time this summer and fall and, of course, throughout the season to build that.
Kind of going off of what Bruce said, when you look at the NCAA tournament this year with so many mid-majors crashing the party and the way the transfer portal is, do you even get nervous with the fact that you only had 2 guys on roster and you're still needing to put a full team together? And then with that, like it seems like gone are the days of the Power 5 that even the non-Power 5s have a real chance, it seems like.
Yeah, I think there's so much parity, and that's been a word that's used a lot. But you look at, there's FAU, they've had a number of guys in that program for a long time. Face them, they're joining our league now. They brought in, I know, a transfer this last year, but many of the guys got better, and they stayed together, and that's a beautiful thing. And we're, of course, searching down the road for some consistency and continuity as much as possible. But then you also see a number of other teams. I can't remember the exact stat, but there's a number of teams that have transfers. This is just a part of college basketball. It's a part of athletics. It's a part of just university life. Regular students transfer to new schools. So am I nervous? I live in a state of analysis. I live in a state of trying to figure things out. I live in a state of just constantly evaluating. And so we're trying to figure out the best solution under the current setup of how that we can get better for next year. And then all the while trying to build a program that can continue to last and have this relevance of consistency of this is Tulsa basketball, and there's names on the back might change over time, but that name on the front, there's a feeling of what that is each and every year, and we're working towards that.
Kind of piggybacking off of that, you had a conference is going to look different next year. You're bringing in a team that went to the Final Four, 2 teams that made the NIT Finals, and the CBI champion. How difficult is this conference going to be next year?
The conference is going to be great, and yes, we're losing some good teams, but we're having 6 teams join us that very, very competitive. And just like you mentioned, you got a Final Four team, NIT Finals, CBI champion. Of course, was in that league for a number of years and competed against those programs. Those are prideful programs, tradition-rich. They're highly resourced and invested in. And so I absolutely believe that this will be a multiple bid league going forward and really, really competitive with 14 teams now rather than just 11.
Coach, in the early November period, their seasons were, the signees, their seasons were just getting going. Just tell us about each of those guys. What kind of season? Obviously, you had Mr. Tennessee basketball in Class 4A. Just give us a little insight into those 3 and how their seasons went and what they bring to you.
So Carlos Williams at Pearl River Community College as a sophomore, averaged near a double-double and was very, very productive on his team, expanded his game some more like we had thought he would, and had another very successful year and did a lot of winning at Pearl River. Of course, I know they were hoping to win a national championship and didn't quite get that far, but at the same time had another really good season. Matt Reed had a very good season at high school in the Dallas area, and he continues to get better and better as a big guy. And we talked about he came up during the season, came to our Wichita State game at home. It was great to see him. But he's developing and into one of the better players in the state of Texas. And when you do that, you've got yourself a really good player. And then Jared Hall was named Mr. Basketball in Tennessee, led his team into the state tournament. Did not, of course, in basketball, you don't play bowl games. Not half of you don't finish with wins. Everybody was a little disappointed they didn't get to the state championship. I know Jared was hoping to, but had a tremendous year. We're excited about him as a guy that is versatile and has gotten better and better. So all 3 of those guys, very, very excited about.
curious. We ask a lot of times when a team might not have the season they want, if it was hard on the recruiting trail to sell yourself or your program to kids. One, it doesn't look like it was, but two, I would imagine your pitch was more unique in that you had quite a bit of playing time to offer, obviously, with so many guys gone. Did you find that it was not too difficult to sell what you're selling, I guess, to these guys?
Well, I think recruiting is always hard. I think no matter where you are, no matter what league, if you've won or lost, recruiting is hard. There's so much change now that you get to the mountaintop, it's hard to stay on the mountaintop. It's hard to climb to get to the mountaintop. I think, and it's one of the reasons why I was so attracted to coming here, is this is a great school, number one. Guys will earn a degree here that is very meaningful. This is a tradition-rich program with a passionate fan base. I mean, our attendance, I say it all the time, it's one of the most amazing stats there is. It was the type of season that we had, our attendance went up by 36%. There's something happening here that's really got a chance to be special again. And so, but we absolutely had opportunity to sell. And so we are looking always for guys with a little chip on their shoulder that are really hungry to prove themselves, but hungry to win and hungry to do it at a very high level. And we've got all of those things here: great education, great city, great fan base, and great opportunity.